Hey Book Dragons, I'm back. I'm here to start a new reading vlog. I think it's gonna be like a weekend reading vlog. I am battling a little bit of a small head cold. I stayed home from work yesterday, but I am on the mend. But I do still want to get some reading done this weekend. I have to film at some point, but I don't think I'm gonna film this weekend. I think I'm just gonna post the vlogs I have for next week and make that an easier week for me to film. But I did want to say that I am reading a couple of things. So I'm reading Tattered Stars by Catherine Cowles, which is book one in the Tattered and Torn series, which I'm really liking. And I'm also reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So those are the two books I'm in the middle of reading. I don't know why this is not lighting up, but that's okay. But I think I'm gonna make some progress on both of those books today and try to make some progress on some stuff. I also do want to do some stuff today and not because when I'm sick I just tend to do nothing and then I stay sick longer because yeah. But so Tattered and Torn, I'll attach a photo here. So here's the photo. Actually, maybe I'll do it at the end. It's about this girl. When she was very, very young, her father kidnapped someone and she wound up rescuing that girl. And now she comes back to this small town and wants to run her animal sanctuary with the property that her mom left her after her mom passed away. And then the hero is the young girl's sister, the young girl's brother that feels very guilty because he was watching her when she was taken. So it's their love story. And then I'm also reading the Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I don't know where my book is. It's right here. And this is a very, very questy story. So it's written in the form of a journal, a diary, and I'm really liking it. You follow this main character named Emily Wilde as she goes to sort of a Scandinavia-like location and tries to hunt some fairies down. And I'm really liking both of them. I'm very much enjoying both of them. They're very, very fun. So I think I'm probably gonna make some progress on this one right now. Just because it was compelling me. So I don't know. Hey friends, Lori here. I'm back to start a new reading vlog. I am a little bit under the weather this weekend, so if I sound like I have a cold, it's because I have a cold. I wound up staying from work on Friday. I always get sick in January. It just always happens. But yeah. So I'm in the middle of reading two things, and I don't know which one I'm in the mood to keep reading. I have the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which is my fairy loot book that I did want to read, which I'm about 200 pages into, which I'm really liking. This is very much like a quest story with fae, but very light-hearted almost. And then I'm reading Tattered and Torn by Catherine Cowles. Very, very different, very, very vastly different genres, but I am liking them both. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to read a chapter of each and then just see which one I want to make more progress on today, and then we'll chat. But yeah, that is my plan. I want to get some reading done today. I have to watch the puppy today because my parents are going to work. But yeah, that is the plan. So I'm going to go figure out what I want to read, and then I'll chat with you all when I make some progress. So when I read 50 pages of this or 50 pages of this, I'll give you guys an update. Bye friends. Hey friends, I just want to do a bit of an update. It is about 8:30. I did wind up reading up to page 200 in the Encyclopedia of Fairies. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's definitely a cozy fantasy that has a lot of elements that I'm like. It also has an element where they're sort of investigating the fae, and she has a fae prince that she's involved with, which I think is super fun. It is definitely slow, but there is a plot. She's sort of doing questing to try to figure out about this fae world with her partner, and the small town has an element to it. It does give me cozy fantasy vibes, and I like that it's written sort of as a diary, so you sort of get a Emily's real point of view, and I like that because you sort of get the story only from Emily's point of view. Which is interesting because she's could be somewhat of an unreliable narrator. She's also very, very science-based, so it almost reminds me like I'm reading a Sherlock Holmes story. That's the vibes I get, but it has to do with fae. So yeah, I'm gonna go read another 50 pages and give you guys an update. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't think it's gonna be a new favorite, but I do like the characters and I like seeing fae in this way. But yeah, so I'm gonna go read another 50 pages. I'm gonna watch a little bit of Wednesday. And yeah, when I get up to page 251 or 253, I'll give you guys an update. But so far, I'm enjoying it. And I'm happy that I picked it up. It's definitely it gives me cozy fantasy vibes, which is what I was hunting for. And this book is just so pretty from Fairy Loot, so it's probably gonna be a book that I keep. I like the quotes, I like the characters. it has the potentiality to go the romance route, but right now I would just more call it a cozy fantasy and not a romantic fantasy. I will report back if I think it does change. But I do like the way the story is structured. It's very unique and I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to go read a little bit more and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye, friends. Friends, I just want to give you a bit of an update. It is about 11:30, so I did wind up reading a bit more. I did want to go to page 255 in my book. I am liking it. I would say this writing style is definitely more character-based and less plot-based. And I don't always love that in a story. Like, I really need, if you're going to give me a fantastical story, it needs to have a pretty solid plot that kind of pushes the story forward. But since like the first quarter of this was sort of like a character study, I liked it. But I just needed a bit more plot throughout this whole book. Like, now there is a plot element, but I just wish it had been continual throughout the whole story. And it's a super short book. It's like only like over 300 pages. So I just think the pacing and the plot of this story is not as strong as I would like it to be. But I love the characters and I love the concept. I think it's just like a fun read. It's not like, you know, gonna be my new favorite, but I am enjoying it. So I'm gonna go read. I'm gonna actually wrap up this book. I'm gonna go read the last, like, you know, 60, 70 pages. And then I'm gonna give you guys a solid update. And then we're gonna pick my next read. I don't know if it's gonna be the book I'm in the middle of reading or I'm gonna pick up something else. We will see. I'm gonna pick something else. My brain is a little bit fried, so I don't think I wanna read fantasy right now. But I wanna read something because I have 2 days to just sort of relax and rest and recover. So I'm gonna go read the rest of this. I'm gonna go watch a bit more of Wednesday. Meg is doing reading sprints in a bit, so I'm gonna probably participate in those because I'm a Patreon and we do reading sprints. I rarely ever get to catch her reading sprints because she does a lot of them during the week and I'm always working and it's like when I'm commuting back home and I can't rewatch them, so I try to do them on the weekends whenever I can. And I'm gonna try to drink a ton of water today. And yeah, when I'm done with this book, I will give you guys an update. Right now, it's probably going to be like a 3-star read, if might be up a bit more, but nothing above that. But I'm happy that I read it. I want to get better at reading my fairy loots, and this is one. So I'll talk to you guys when I'm back for wrapping up Encyclopedia Fairies. Let's do a time check. Right now, it is 11:30. Let's see how long it takes me to read this. Bye, friends. Hey, friends. I'm back. Sorry that it took a little bit longer. It is now almost 1:30, so I do plan on reading it in about like an hour. I did want to finish Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I have sort of conflicting thoughts about this book, I'll be very honest. I liked it. I just think for me, when I read a fantasy book, I need a really, really strong plot. And I can love the characters, but the plot needs to be pushing me forward. It's not like, and this book really didn't have a whole lot going for it other than the characters, and felt like I was reading like a textbook, which is sort of the point because she's writing like a diary about the fairies, and there was kind of some elements that sort of kept me interesting. Like, I liked the small town vibes of the story. I liked the characters. The plot didn't really get started until like midway through the book. I felt the same way when I read Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which had no plot, all vibes. This is sort of the same exact thing. So I'm gonna choose another book to read. I have some options. I really was planning on doing a totally different reading vlog, but honestly, I'm having a hard time with focus because I'm not feeling my best because I have had cold. So I'm gonna show you guys the wheel I'm gonna use for this. I did this with the Avengers reading challenge. So this is the wheel. I made it myself and I have a couple of inputs and I am going to spin and see what we're gonna read. Ooh, an e-arc book. Okay, so I have a couple of those that sort of like, I need to do like an e-arc challenge. So I'm gonna go pick one that I have an e-arc of that I can read, and I can count it as reading on NetGalley, which will be nice. It's funny because I did this before and like everything contemporary got picked, but I have a few that I think I can count. So yeah, I'm gonna go figure out which e-arc I'm gonna read, or I'm gonna pick a physical book, I think, but one that's for like one of my e-arc challenges because I need to read 5 in a month and I haven't done that yet. So yeah, I'm gonna go pick a book to read and I'll report back when I have chosen one. It will probably be something contemporary in nature, probably, but I will talk to you guys when I choose that book. Bye, friends. Hey friends, I'm back. So I'm just going to think I'm gonna stick with As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson because I have started a couple of series this month and I want to keep up my trend of sort of reading balanced amount of like keeping up with series and starting new series. And I started a couple this week, so I want to wrap one up. And yeah, I'm excited. I read the first, like 16 pages, and she is definitely involved in the lawsuit of the person she accused of being raped. There was a big court case in the second book, and that's like the aftermath. So that's where we left off. That's where we started. Yeah, so I'm going to read to page 50, and then hopefully at that point I will have like more concrete thoughts, because I feel like I just read like 16 pages and now she's like gonna start the story. So, but again, it's a trilogy. This is the book that wraps it all up, and I've heard really good things about the final book, so I'm excited. I do have the audio as well, but I'm not really going out tomorrow. I'm gonna kind of stay in, relax, and just kind of decompress and, you know, try to be healthy for Monday, because I have to go to teach on Monday, and Monday's my busiest day because I run around like a crazy person. So I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna read about 50 pages of this. I'm gonna get to page 55. I'll give you guys an update and then we'll chat. But I will read Never Getting Back Together next, because it's a quick read, and I think that that's what what I need to read. Not a fantasy, but those will be my next two reads, and then I'll probably wrap up this reading blog whenever it's done. So you'll get some cozier reads this weekend, a contemporary this, and then my fantasy. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna go get some water. I'm gonna go read, make sure my puppy's not getting into too much trouble, and when I get up to page 50, I'll give you guys an update. Bye, Book Dragons. Hey friends, I just want to do a quick update. It is about 7:30, so I did wind up getting some reading done. I did wind up reading about 50 pages of As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I think I'm just gonna stick with that book. The thing I noticed about this book is I read book 1 during 2020. So I read that published in America. Then I read book 2 published in England. So the settings of those books are totally different. Like book 1 in England, book 1 was set in America. Book 2, because it was published in England, was set in England. It's the same story, but like there's just some like little things that are like a little bit different, which is weird. Like, I do not know why they did that. Maybe they didn't think that we would like an English story. Publishers, give me all the English stories. I think it's interesting. So going back to like, I wish I would have known that, because I probably would have grabbed As Good as Dead from England and I would have just read it that way. But anyway, we're committed. She's a very unique character, Pip. I like Pip. She's also dealing with a lot. This book is a lot of her trauma from the last 2 books, and she's really thinks she's seeing things, and I think she is going to be the definition of an unreliable character in this whole book, progressively through it, and I'm just intrigued. So I'm going to read a little bit more. I'm going to try to get to page 100 and see how I'm feeling. I think I'm definitely have the focus to listen to it, read it, which is good. I'm also watching Wednesday. I think I have 2 episodes left of Wednesday. The puppy is going for a walk. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how this book wound up. I was watching Meg with a Books, and she said she liked the ending. She thought it was interesting and unique. She wasn't the biggest fan of 5 Survive, so I want to read this before I read that. Because I really did like book 1 and book 2. I love a book about a podcast. I love a book with like other elements too. So I'm excited. So yeah, I'm going to go read to 100, and then I'll give you guys a time check. Right now it is about 7:20. So I can probably make some more progress tonight, which is the goal. I don't think I'm going to finish it tonight. It's a 400-page book. But I'm trying to let myself be okay reading longer books. That's what I'm going to try to be okay with, because then I like feel bad and like, you know what, it's okay. Or like I feel like I'm not reading enough, and I'm just going to put that pressure out of my head. I've already read 10 books this month, so I think I've reached my like, I normally like to read between 10 and 11 books a month, so if I overreach that, I'm perfectly content. But yeah, I don't have much to say. Again, it's the 3rd book in this series. I do like Pip as a character. I think her mental space is very different from book 1 and 2, and I'm curious how the story progresses. So I'm going to go back to reading, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye, friends. Hey friends, I'm back. If you hear my puppy chewing on something, she's on the other side of the camera. But I did want to say it is 12:01. I did wind up doing a bunch of editing in the morning. I filmed a couple of videos. I prepped my TikTok content and I finished Seduce at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas, which is a good book that I'm going to talk about in my wrap up because I didn't really talk about it in this reading vlog because I wasn't really reading it throughout it. But I did wind up getting to page 100 in As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I'm liking this book. This book is definitely like a deeper read. I think it does deal with a lot of harder topics. For Pip, the main character, there is definitely potentiality of drug addiction and using of pills in this book. So I will say that does prevalently deal with that. But this whole book, she's really convinced that she has a stalker, and you sort of see like elements of that throughout the whole book. But again, she's in a very like traumatized mindset, so it could be she's not being, she's not being stalked, but I do like her writing style and I've always liked it. Book 1 was a podcast, book 2 was a podcast, book 3 is also has like other elements that are not podcast related, but I'm really liking it. I don't think I'm as connected to the story so far as I was to the other stories, but this is a 400-page book and I've literally only read 100 pages. So my goal is to make some progress on this today, and yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm also listening to an audiobook. It's called Tattered Stars by Catherine Cowles, which I should be able to finish tomorrow at work because I'm going back to work tomorrow for sure. But yeah, so I'm liking it. I don't know what is happening, but Ravi is still a very, very key character. Right now it seems to me that Pip is very isolated and Ravi is the only person that's really like hearing her and listening to her. So I'm going to see how I like this. I'm going to read another 50 pages and give you guys, actually maybe I'll read, I don't know. I'm going to read another 50 pages and then I'll give you guys another update. I also want to finish watching Wednesday. I have like 30 minutes left. Really do like that show. And then I'm going to pick my next show and I'm going to go make sure my puppy isn't getting into anything. So I'll talk to you guys when I have another update. Bye friends. Cassie, I'm back. Sorry for the lack of lighting. Hey friends, I'm back. I just had a couple of updates, so I'm probably going to wrap up this reading vlog for this book. But I did wind up finishing As Good as Dead, my book's over there. I picked up the audiobook today because I got to a part and I just was struggling a little bit with it. I will admit, I don't hate it. It was an interesting series, very, very compelling. I will say that. But I finished it. So I'm not going to talk too much spoilers because it is a third book in a series. But I will say, I thought the twist or like how the story went was really interesting. I will say this is just a personal preference. I struggle with unlikable characters. And I think as this book went on, Pip got super unlikable as the story progressed. And I just think that was a more of a personal thing that like I struggled with it a little bit. I did like the audiobook and I think book 1 remains my favorite of the whole series. And I just think that maybe the story got tossed out a little bit. I will say it was very compelling, like it was interesting. There is like a novella that is coming out soon. I think it's called Killjoy, that I'm interested in picking up. I haven't heard the greatest things about her, like, next book, 5 Survive. I just haven't heard the best things. I did pick up the audio for that as well. But yeah, I would probably, I don't know what I would rate this. I haven't put it on my spreadsheet yet. I think it's probably like a 3.75 star read for me. I enjoyed it. I really liked all the side characters in the story. I just wish it had a few more interactive elements. I will say that. Sorry, you're gonna hear my puppy or see her run back. But I enjoyed it. So during this reading vlog, I finished reading As Good as Dead. And I also yesterday finished Tattered Stars by Catherine Cowles, which I'm really happy with. And I also finished reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia Guide. So I had an okay reading. None of them really wowed me. They're all like 3.75, 4-star reads at the most. I think my favorite was probably Tattered Stars in that, and I will talk more about that in my reading wrap up. But now I'm gonna go start my next vlog, and I will see you all then. So let's get into that. Bye, Book Dragons.